want to know what it is? Do you want to know? Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
Follow me. Familiar words. Hello, everybody, and happy Sunday. My name is Eric Simpkin, and you are watching The Political Badass. Today in the studio, we have a good friend of mine, Blake Shibashevsky from Camden County. He actually lives in Belmar. He's very involved in the local political organization here in Camden County, his town. Blake's taken a big step. He's running for the Board of Education in his town because he knows there's something very wrong. His mind is free. He understands truth versus fiction. He understands truth and fact versus oppressor versus oppressed. He understands the reality of where we live and where we're going, and he doesn't really like the direction that we're going in, like many of us don't. And so today we're going to be getting some insight on Blake's experiences and what brought him to get involved in politics and where he sees us going and all the positive things that we're doing. But today we're going to be talking about just that, the Matrix, you know, what we're seeing around us, what has been pulled over our eyes under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion, things of that nature. And we're going to be taking a top-down, bottom-up approach to winning this election from local and county and municipal seats that are up for grabs this year. We need to win at every level to make a difference because things have gone way, way off track. Blake, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Eric. Thank you for having me today.
Hey, it's my pleasure. You know, we've gotten to know each other over the last couple of years, I guess, really, right? We've seen some stuff happen.
Yeah. So I first heard about you through a mutual friend of ours, Nick Stouffer, leader of the New Jersey Project. And yeah, I heard about your name through the county and stuff like that. And I heard stories and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I got to sit down. I got to actually talk to this guy. So I remember I gave you a phone call. I had wanted to introduce myself to
I
you.
remember the call. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were, it was actually an apology, but we don't need to talk about that. But long story short, no, I got to know you really good. And I was like, yeah, this guy's really intelligent. He's really smart. Sounds like he has a game plan. He's raring to go. He's motivated. I'm like, I want to learn more about this guy. So over time, we've just been seeing each other, and yeah, we became friends. That's pretty much it.
So right. So that kind of jogs my memory. So how did I get involved at the county level was interesting. Back in 2016, me and Tina, we started really paying attention, listening, watching what's going on in politics across the landscape. And I'd moved back to New Jersey. I was in Florida for about 4 years, commuting back and forth to see my children. It was rough, not easy, you know. And we learned that there's a lot going on that's wrong. And then when COVID hit, um, we were just in shock. I mean, you know, had to shutter a business here in New Jersey because we were under these draconian lockdowns and mandates and things like that. And we knew something was wrong. So I started following Steve Bannon on Real America's Voice, Jack Posobiec, and other people that I would call influencers, people that influence based on the information they provide, based on, you know, what's going on and what their experience has been. And there's a lot of credibility with these guys. And there's a guy that was on the show all the time named Dan Schultz from Arizona. And he wrote a book called Precinct Strategy. So precinct strategy is basically the concept that there are all these county committees for Republicans and Democrats. And in New Jersey, where we live here in Camden County, you get one male member of the committee and one female member of the committee for every 500 registered Republicans or Democrats, based on which party you're in. And basically, what the importance of that to me and how it was explained and how it really is supposed to work is that these committees would get together and be basically the grassroots organizations of the Republican Party. And nationwide, there's something like, I don't know, 175,000 vacant seats on all these committees, right?
Correct.
And his basic concept is, okay, we need to get over a hurdle of, you know, running candidates that are more moderates, because people, for whatever reason, believe that we need moderate candidates that are, or moderate candidates are the only one that can win. But if you look up the definition of moderate, you know, it says people that are basically, average minded, or, you know, have an average set of goals. You know, they want, you know, the greater good can only be if it's somewhere in the middle. You know, you can't have an extreme right or left viewpoint. But if you really look at the political landscape, you know, the things that have been going radically left, and if you stayed still in your personal political beliefs and views, if you just stayed still, you're going to be more red than you would be blue now. And that's just the way that the current's going. And it's because it's a radical ideology that's being promulgated, pushed, and what people are being blue pilled. Really, that's why I started out with the Matrix today. So what happened from there with me was that I decided to run for school board in Voorhees Township, because I went to a couple school board meetings. I saw that these people are a bunch of maniacs, mishandling public funds. You know, school board member, Blake, you're running for school board. You really have three jobs: manage the budget, manage the curriculum, of course, all the people, the infrastructure of the school district, and then frame policies that are good for the community that you live in, you know, where your kids are going to school, right?
Of course.
And so getting back to the precinct strategy is to fill the seats, all these vacancies across the country. If we fill them with conservatives instead of moderates, then we can start running conservative candidates, conservative values, virtues, and beliefs, Judeo-Christian values, 10 commandments, like we were talking about earlier, basic stuff. And those are not the candidates that we're running here in New Jersey. You know, case in point was when Chitterelli ran for governor, you know, coming out of the lockdowns. I mean, I thought for sure, no brainer, you know, who liked being locked down? We were talking about Ian Smith and Attila's Gym.
Absolutely.
Right. And here was my dismay. So I'm running for school board and I'm looking for help from the Republicans, right? Because I'm a conservative, and school boards are nonpartisan races, right? They don't list you as a Republican or a Democrat. In my town, I would say it's very liberal. You know, the people at least in charge are liberal. You know, you got 5 township committee members, you know, all 5 are Democrats. You got 5 members of the county commissioners, they're all Democrats. There's a Democrat majority in the state house, state senate, and there is a radical Democrat governor, King Murphy. So I call up the GOP locally, this guy named Tom, and I've got no personal beef with anybody, by the way. This is not about personal attacks. This one said that. I mean, honestly, I really don't care what people say or do. As far as their personality goes, everyone has the freedom to be who they are, the way they are. But when you're serving the greater good on these committees, you know, there was no committee activity, and I was shocked. And I called this guy Tom, and I said, "I want to get involved, but I don't know how." He said, "That's all right, Eric. I'm going to appoint you to this committee on the Camden County Committee." This is back in 2022, Blake. So I get appointed to this committee, and I get invited to a meeting. I'm like, "Wow, this is great. We're going from 0 to 100 miles per hour, Dina. We made it." And I go to this meeting, and here it's the reorg meeting, 2022. I didn't know what a reorg was. I'll be honest with you.
Neither did I.
Okay. So I show up at this meeting. Well, actually, the day before I catch wind of what it's all about. And it's about being put as an appointment onto this committee so that I could vote for this guy, Tom, to be the county committee chair. And the chairperson kind of runs the way that the ballot positioning occurs on the primary ballots, which is a big deal. Because I always wondered, didn't you, Blake, how does someone get on the ballot, you know, to run for Congress, to run for one of these, you know, seats? And basically, I found out that even with this committee with like 130 some members on it throughout Camden County, there is no convention or any kind of input from the committee members on who they put on the ballot. And I was like literally shocked and pissed. I was
Yeah.
pissed. I'm like, this is not how it's supposed to work. And that's how I got onto the committee. Now I got reelected. I actually put myself on the ballot this year to be reelected. But we realized that to effectuate change, we need to change the leadership because,
Of
you
course.
know, right? And you and I came from a couple different camps on that approach, right? You know, we know
Absolutely.
it needed to happen. How's it going to happen? Me, I'm pretty aggressive. I'm like, we need to take this guy out before the primary. You know, people were concerned about change and all that stuff. And I understood. I backed off a little bit. You know, I didn't want to get into altercations with other community members, but I knew that somehow we need to make a change. Well, the good news is we did effectuate that change at this year's reorg meeting after the election.
That was a hell of a change
And
too.
Kimberly Stewart is doing a phenomenal job. I mean, I was on that committee for 2 years, went to one meeting that was called. I've been on this committee now for just a few months, right, since the primary, and we've had, what, 3 countywide meetings already?
That's even just scratching like the bottom of the barrel too. I mean, we've gotten county committee people appointed in places that we never had them before, in like winnable towns, for example, like next door to me in Belmar, Mount Ephraim. Jack Tirelli won that in 2021, and we appointed all the seats as far as I'm concerned over there. We have the Berlins now we're getting it popping down there, Pine Hill. Like we're really there's places that we've never had Republicans that we're putting Republicans now. And
That's amazing.
yeah, and the goal next year is, because here's the thing too, right? You know, we live in it's no surprise, we live in a blue state and we live in a blue county. But what a lot of people don't realize is it's not progressive blue. It's not like California blue is what I call it, right? It's very much union blue. A lot of workers, a lot of tradesmen, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of those people are sick and tired of just like what Murphy's been doing and everything like that. They're just tired of it and they want to change. And like you said earlier, the left has gone so far left that now if you're even considered like a center or a center moderate or whatever, now you're seen as right wing, or in some cases, depending on who you talk to, extreme right, which is just mind boggling to me. But you know, as I was saying before, you know, people want to see this change, and you're starting to see more and more Republicans pop up in these areas that we never had them before. And really the goal for next year is to try to run as many candidates as we possibly can and attack on all fronts. Because here's something that people don't realize, right? It's one thing to win an election. Look, everybody wants to win an election. Don't get me wrong. But the other thing that you really want to do, even if you don't win that election, is you want to make these people spend as much money as possible. Because what happens is if the Democrats have to spend more and more and more and more money, you know, our people over at the state GOP and even the national GOP start seeing what's going on in Camden County, and then they start putting more of their resources into our county. And really, like, that's one of the biggest issues with Camden County, is that we were always looked at as a blue county because of Camden City and other places like Collingswood, Pennsauken, and we were never taken seriously because of that. And a lot of people thought that, hey, Camden County is it's a dead county. We shouldn't put any of our resources in it. Who cares? We'll focus on like Burlington or some other county up north or whatever the case may be. But what I tell people, if you look at the layout of the land, if you look at all the different districts and stuff like that, Camden County really is like we are the crux. Like you win Camden County, you win the state. You win Camden County, you win the governor's race. You win Camden County, you get a majority in the assembly or the state senate or whatever the case may be. Like we're a very important county, and myself, you, Kim, whoever the case may be, we all realize that, we have a lot of responsibility on our shoulders because we can literally turn this state around. And that's the craziest part about our county that a lot of people don't realize or recognize.
So the word that I heard used, and I understand it, the word that we're searching for right now is called relevance, right?
Correct.
All right. So the state GOP, other GOP leaders, they look at what's the likelihood of achieving a successful outcome in an election.
Yes.
And they base their spending, they base their time, they base their ground game on that. Is there a shot to win? In Camden County, realistically, you got 64,000-ish registered Republicans, about 110,000 registered Democrats, and about 140,000 registered unaffiliated. Unaffiliated, what does that mean, people? It means that you're not registered with the Democrat Party, you're not registered with the Republican Party, you're unaffiliated. Some people will call it independents. Independents actually a party, okay? So I don't call them independents, I call them unaffiliated. It's people that just don't want to be registered for whatever reason with the Republican Party or Democrat Party. How can we start to change some of the relevance, people? Scott Pressler, great man, okay? He is working on getting out the vote and registering early ballots, mail-in ballots, getting people involved, and at least increasing their civic engagement enough to get people out to vote early, vote often. And basically, to gain relevance, we need to increase the number of registered Republicans. So I wear a lot of shirts, on a daily basis when I'm out and about, Trumpomania, some things just to get people's attention, just like the name political badass. I'm not a badass. I'm not a tough guy. What's a political badass? Somebody that goes out and gets other people to vote and influence others based on, to me, how many people can you get to vote for Donald Trump? That's to me how I would gauge your political badassness, right?
Yeah.
We don't talk about whiteness here. We talk about badassness. Okay. And speaking of which, I went and saw a great movie last night that I would definitely recommend, Blake. It's called Am I Racist? It's by Matt Walsh. He did What Is a Woman? Great movie. I mean, pretty funny. He's basically goes out and gets himself a little DEI manager badge, from some from some website, right? And he's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm a DEI certified." It's kind of funny, and actually, in reality, it's pretty sickening what a lot of these liberals do. They have these fancy dinners and stuff, dinner parties, where they talk about, here, let's do some exercises, let's go like this. This is like to erase your whiteness, and all these crazy things, and that's just white. Versus black, and then they're interviewing some black people and the guys from another country, but been here and has 15 grandchildren or 53 grandchildren, I might say. And he says, "Come on, look at it's black and white. It's just the difference of your skin color. I mean, if you cut yourself, we're both going to bleed red the same."
Absolutely.
And that's how I was born. I was born in a colorblind house, which isn't good enough anymore. You got to be an ally. An ally is somebody that, by definition of social justice, is using your privilege to help others that don't have that same privilege. With it, basically helping marginalized people. You can't be colorblind. That's being racist, right?
Yeah.
These days. So that was a movie I saw. But going back to gaining relevance, when you wear a shirt like that, you wear a MAGA hat, which, by the way, is no longer unsafe in New Jersey, and I would say that our relevance is gaining just from that matter. But when I wear a Trump shirt, MAGA hat, and someone says, "Hey, I like your hat," my first question is, are you registered to vote as a Republican at your current address? I learned that from Scott Pressler, and it works really well. I was actually at the last meeting that we had, and someone wanted to join a Republican committee here in Voorhees, was at the meeting.
Awesome.
And she says, Eric, the only problem is that I went to DMV to change my address, and they automatically registered me as a Democrat. No kidding. And I said to her, "All right, well, we're going to fix that right now." I pulled out my cell phone. I went to my own website, ericsimkin.com, went to early voting, and it has a link right to the New Jersey site where anyone can register to vote as a Republican at their home address. And I put her on the committee that night because she changed her affiliation. DMV.
Yes.
That's a problem.
I was actually just at the DMV not too long ago, believe it or not.
How was the service?
We got in and out, believe it or not.
They
We
have good cappuccinos in the lobby?
well, no, we didn't have cappuccinos in the library. I wish that would have been great. No, so I, talk about my family life a little bit. So I have 4 brothers at home that I take care of. 2 of them with a form of autism, and one of them with cerebral palsy, who's bound to a wheelchair. So he has what's called a suprapubic catheter that comes out of his stomach. He can't, pee on his own. So every month we got to go to the doctors and we got to get it changed. So my mom was telling me, "Hey, listen, while we go get this changed, let's book an appointment for the DMV, so we can get him a non-driver's ID, because a lot of the medical places are starting to ask for that now for some reason when they haven't before." So we go to the DMV, and it's actually funny because that incident that you're talking about, where they automatically registered you as Democrat, I actually didn't have that problem. It came up on the pin pad, and it had every single party that you could possibly register as in the state of New Jersey, including the ones a lot of people don't hear about, like your Green Party, your Constitutional Party, et cetera, et cetera. And my brother, God bless him, I love my brother Jack, but his grandmother is a staunch Democrat and gets in his ear and is like, Biden's the greatest thing ever. Trump is this, Trump is that. And my brother Jack, he's like, "Listen, I know, I love you as my brother, and I'm not going to do that to you. So just put me down as like unaffiliated, because I really don't want it. Because if my grandmother finds out that I registered Republican, she'll get angry at me over the phone." Right? And she'll think like, "Oh, did Blake do that? Blah 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 blah." It's like, oh no. So
Hey, that goes to that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and becoming an influencer. Speaking of influencer, I was teaching my daughter. I have twin daughters, 19 years old. Everyone that watches knows. And really, at the end of the day, that's everything that matters to me.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, you got to be cautious when you're learning these lessons in school, because your teachers are influencers. And she said,
course.
"Dad, what are you talking about? Teacher's not an influencer. Teacher." I guess I did good, because I come from a family of educators, and teachers, principals, stuff like that. And when I told her, "You got to be careful because you're being an influencer," she didn't understand how much of an influence a teacher could be. And I said, "Well, we taught you to listen to teachers, listen to people of authority, but you have to also have that sense about yourself where you understand between truth, reality, and fiction." And that's one thing. But I want to turn back to DMV.
Sure, of course.
So this was it Tuesday night. We had a Republican committee meeting.
Monday.
Monday,
Yeah, it was
over
Monday.
100 people attended. It was beautiful to see. People are communicating with each other. Nobody's arguing.
Last 3 meetings, it's just 100.
I mean,
there's
even more, yeah.
new people coming in every
Right.
single time. But
We had Rich D'Ambrosio.
Ambrosino. Yeah.
Rich Ambrosino. He's a commissioner for the Election Bureau.
Correct.
In Camden County. And he was explaining some of the things about election integrity. And we were talking about it. And I was really curious to know, how many times is it really happening that somebody goes to vote on voting day or early vote, and they say, "Oh, no, sir," or "Ma'am, you've already voted. You've already cast your vote." He said it doesn't happen often. When it did, the person got arrested because someone stole the ballot out of their mail. You remember?
Yes.
All right. So it made me feel pretty good that there is some mechanism there to check it out. Chain of custody is still a question, because anytime you got humans involved, anything could be happening. But what I did not like is that in New Jersey and in most states, there's not a citizenship database that DMVs have access to. And in New Jersey, just in case you weren't aware, people, the DMV has been privatized probably about 20 years ago. It's not run by the state of New Jersey. It might be overseen by them, but it's run by a private company. And so what's happening is that when you go into DMV, everyone kind of knows, but if you don't, here's your warning. When you re-register, when you do anything at DMV, make sure your voting record doesn't get changed from what it is. And then, of course, make sure you're registered as Republican. But they're changing people from Republican or from unaffiliated to Democrat at the DMV. It's 100% fact. Rich even confirmed that. He said, "Yeah, Eric, that is a challenge that we have." But it's not just the DMV that's registering illegal immigrants, and they are illegal immigrants. Okay, I'm all for immigration through legal channels. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of our families came here from somewhere else,
Of course.
right? Legally. I mean, and if you are here illegally, I mean, and I don't know about it, that's fine. But if I know about it, it's a problem. And what's happening in New Jersey is that they're registering illegal immigrants at DMV and also through NGOs, non-government organizations like well, there's Catholic Charities, Jewish Family Services are a couple of them. There's a billion other ones, Soros Foundation. There's all sorts of foundations.
Yeah.
And they actually, you know, make maps for people that are migrating through Mexico and directions and instructions on what to do, how to get benefits. And all these benefit providers to these illegals, they all have a form and they all have a registration form to register to vote. I don't know about you, folks out there. I don't think that someone that's here illegally should have the right to vote. I mean, they don't have the right to be here. So how are they voting in a federal election? It's against the federal laws. It's a grounds for deportation, and we are going to have the most massive deportation in world history when Donald J. Trump gets sworn in on January 20th, 2025. I mean, I'm pretty sure that from the state capitol steps, they're going to erect a desk out there. He's not even going to have to go to the Oval Office. Some of the stuff that we're seeing is going to change right there on the spot. And the number one problem we really have that's affecting every single citizen in this country is illegal immigration. And here now they're voting too. It's a serious problem.
Yeah. And you know, he was recently speaking about illegal immigration. He was so I had watched a debate about, I forget what one was, like a week or two ago. It was
this week, actually.
Yeah,
I think it was Wednesday, right?
okay.
It's been a long week, hasn't it?
It has been a long week. That's why I'm like, but no, watching the debate and stuff like that. And I'm on Twitter too. You know, I see what's going on Twitter, and you hear about like the Haitians coming into Springfield, Ohio, the whole cats and dogs situation.
Hide your cats.
Yeah,
they're coming.
So I actually wanted to do so I don't know if you knew this about me, but after my father had passed away in 2019, I had moved out to Ohio to go live with my cousin. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she lives in Dublin, which is Holly. How are you doing, by the way? She's a big
Hello,
Trump,
Holly.
she's a big Trump supporter. But
that's awesome. Thank you for you.
She I lived out with her. Dublin is a suburb of Columbus up in like the northwest part of the section. And it's really not that far from Springfield. It might be like an hour, 2-hour drive, which over there is like a 30-minute drive in New Jersey with the traffic they have over there. So it's weird how that works. But I was talking to her and I was like, Holly, is it actually true what's happening? Like I see the council meetings and everything, so it's like it has to be true, but I wanted to hear from the horse's mouth. I'm like, Holly, is what's happening over there actually true? And what was scary about what she told me, she's like, Blake, it's not only happening in Springfield, Ohio. It was happening around multiple places in the area, like around Springfield, where this was all happening. And that's the craziest part about it, is it's not just contained to one town or one city, like it's spreading out. And that's the craziest part about it.
So where Ilhan Omar's from, out there in where is she from? Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Michigan has probably, I'd say, the second highest dense populations of Muslims and Islamists in the country.
Of course.
How did they all get there? Well, I'm going to tell you how. It's a loaded question. They got there from Henry Ford. Okay. Part of a mass migration program back when Henry Ford was running Ford was to bring people to Michigan to become factory workers. And they brought them from Arab nations. That's how they got there. So ultimately, that's how a lot of people migrate, you know, through corporatosity, through governments, and that's how these people settle. And I'm okay with people that want to resettle in America. I'm actually fully for it if you're willing to live by the rule of law, which is the Judeo-Christian values of the West, you know. But no, you have a lot of people that don't want to come and live by the rule of law from either ignorance, not knowing the law, or just not wanting to abide by it. No, shooting geese out of the sky, ducks, or however they're getting them, cutting cats apart and eating them. I mean, these are just things that we consider to be inhumane. I mean, I'm not willing to progress to that level. Are you? I mean, I don't consider that progressive.
No, not at all. And the thing is too, is like, and the part, like, listen, there have been cultures around the world that have eaten things that are, you know, we don't necessarily eat over here in
I've
America.
eaten pigeon. I mean, I've eaten pigeon.
Yeah, but the problem is
at
that
a restaurant,
when we're talking about ducks and geese and stuff like that, like we have like Cooper River over here in like Cherry Hill. Like that's what they're talking about. Whereas like you got your 5-year-old granddaughter or daughter. Or
Yeah,
your,
let's go
your
feed the
kid.
ducks. We're not
Yeah,
looking
let's
to
go
feed on
feed
the
the duck.
ducks.
Exactly. And some guy comes and just grabs a duck and just go like it's like you can't do that in front of him. Like there's families there. Like I'm not against duck hunting, but like there's a time and a place to do it, and that is not the time and place to do it. Like you'll traumatize somebody doing that.
I mean, these are
So-
domesticated, really, pretty much. I mean, yes, they're wild animals, but there's rules against that. I mean, fish and wildlife. I mean, if I go catch a striped bass in the beginning of October and it's like less than 28 pounds or whatever it is, you're getting in trouble for that, and that's a serious offense. Fish and wildlife wardens around here, they have full authority, more than most police do. So, I mean, just from that perspective, though. Just look at the numbers. You got 60,000 people in the town, and they bring 30,000 people that never lived in America before. You're going to run into some problems.
Well, and then you have the radicals too, right? Like they're really big on like protect the environment and climate change and stuff like that. And so am I. But then you turn around and you look at like what's happening to these ducks and these dogs and these cats, and then you look at like our what's happening over here with like the wind power, the turbines and stuff like that, and how it's killing the whales and stuff like that over there down the Jersey Shore. And it's like at what part of the environment do you care about besides CO2 emissions? Because it seems like besides that, you don't really care about anything else.
So in reality, they don't care about the CO2. They don't care about any of the carbon emissions. They don't really care about anything but control. So ultimately, at the end of the day, when you look at DEI, when you look at anything that's not making sense to you, when you look in the political arena, everything starts with climate change and the fear of climate change. And it's the number one driving force behind mass migration is over climate, oppression because of climate. We need more investments to banks. Ask Jamie Dimon. He's saying we need more and more people investing into climate related initiatives. It's a serious problem. Okay. There really is no climate problem. The earth's been cooling for countless millennia. Okay, that's just how it works. It cools. It's not getting hotter. Solar panels, having 10,000, solar panels in a certain area creates more radiation up in the atmosphere and stratosphere than anything we're putting up there. If you have one underwater volcano that goes off, it's going to emit more carbon emissions, CO2, than all the cars, all the lawnmowers, all the gas stoves put together. So. And really, you got to manage your forestation and you got to manage your water. I mean, I was just listening to President Trump the other day out in California, talking about how they're trying to save one breed of fish, but they're dumping billions and billions and billions of fresh water coming down from Canada into the Pacific Ocean rather than have it used for farming, food. It's a little crazy. You got China buying up all this land. What do you think they're going to be doing with it? They're not just spying on us. They're getting ready to grow food because we won't be able to, because we're debilitating ourselves and our ability to survive. And who's going to come in? It's not going to be anybody from America. I can assure you, we are no longer the global dominant energy provider. We're no longer really we're going to be de-dollarized. They're already processing, transactions for oil and other currencies. And speaking of oil, we're bringing oil from Venezuela. It's the thickest oil crude on the planet, and we're basically refining it in Houston, Texas. Yet we have the lowest carbon emissions of any country on the planet. And who has the worst carbon emissions? I don't know. China's building one coal factory every single week. We're not building any kind of coal factories. We're building windmills that don't work. They only work at the same time solar does, which is about 30% of the time, and it can provide up to 30% of the electricity we need. But it's not going to ever provide 100. So what's coming is climate mandates. It's coming any day if we don't win this election. And that's why when we're talking about these things, it's not just knowing the information, but what you're going to do about it. Turning Point Action. You can download an app that's going to pull up the closest 15 people that live near you. You can go to their house, you can text them, you can call them, and just spread a message. There's messages pre-canned in there, but you need to start talking to other people that you don't have an influence over now to start gaining an influence over what they decide, because what they're viewing in the news typically is not truth, facts, or anything like that. It's an alternate reality. It's the Matrix. You got to red pill these people, but you can't do it. You can't just crush them with it. You're not going to take somebody that's liberal through and through and convert them into a conservative, but you just got to, lay the doubt in their mind that things are not making sense. I mean, what are you saying that's making sense? You seeing Harris and Walz are going to make more sense for us? You ever see Walz's wife? I mean, she looks like she's got, white all around her eyes all the whole time. She's crazy. These people are maniacal. They're dangerous. They're going to hurt you. Okay. But listen, you can only spread the word. You have to get the people that are going to vote with their mind and conscience and worry about the greater good out to the polls. How do you do it? You talk to people about getting mail-in ballots. Okay. Conservatives and Republicans, we don't like the idea of mail-in ballots, but guess what? They exist. Okay. 100% of our vote in 2020 was on a mail-in ballot. We still didn't win the governor race, if you remember,
Yes.
while we were in lockdown with Citarelli running. And I don't think we're going to win if he runs again and gets through the primary. Bill Spadia, he's running. Ed Durr's running. There's another guy running.
Bramnick.
Brandnick.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the challenge I'm seeing is that, why are they all running? I mean, some of them don't have a chance in hell of getting through the primaries. The only thing that's going to do is take votes from other people. You have to be aggressive on these county committees and tell people how you really feel. You can't be afraid of relationships that you have with people when you're involved in politics. You really can't, because at the end of the day, no one's going to come and save you. We're not the government's not going to come and save us, and the people that you don't agree with are certainly not going to come and save you. You have to be free-minded. You have to speak truth. You don't have to have confrontations with people all the time and your friends, but you have to tell them how it is sometimes. And when someone's telling you the truth, Blake, you know what the deal is? It's not always comfortable, is it?
No, it isn't.
I mean, actually, that's kind of a lie detector for me. When you feel uncomfortable and someone's talking about you, you kind of know they're telling you somewhat of the truth, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing too, like with especially Republicans around here, like we even going in, like even last year, like this has been going on for 2 years now. Like the governor's race next year, I believe, is going to get very competitive, for lack of a better term. Because you have so many different people that support so many different people and stuff like that. But what we have to realize is going into the primary, whatever feelings that we have out of the primary, we have to put them aside and we have to support the candidate that we have, because at the end of the day, maybe your guy didn't win or whatever the case may be, but we have to get these radicals that are running running the government or running the Senate, running the assembly, whatever the case may be. We have to get them out. Because at least, if you have a Republican in there, or you have somebody that it doesn't even have to be a Republican. If they don't believe in these radical ideas, at least you have an ear of somebody that you can talk to and be like, hey, listen, this is happening in my community. We think this is bad, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to also come to that realization too. And I don't think a lot of people do. I don't think a lot of people have the mindset to be like, all right, this is the bigger picture. This is what we got to worry about. And it's something that we really got to like tell people like, hey, listen, it didn't go the way that I wanted it to, but I can't grovel on that. I can't cry about that. It's got to keep pushing through. It's really all we can do.
You got to push and you got to get people to vote. Like, because here's the deal. I'm a statistic person. I mean, I'm not as good as Nick Stouffer on statistics. She's a biomedical statistician. I mean, she knows the numbers right inside and out. But I know enough to be dangerous. And what I do know is that we only get in a primary about 17% of people out to vote in a primary, which in and of itself is a problem. You have to learn how to be civically engaged. You have to reach out. No one's coming to your door necessarily. I mean, I wish we were coming to everybody's door, but right now we're not. We need more volunteerism, and really we need money. And money, let's talk about that for a second. So somebody got up at the meeting the other night and said, look, guys, it takes money to win elections, right? And I'm going to start by making a $50 monthly donation. Someone said, I think it was Jerry McManus. He's doing a great job.
Oh, he is.
Right. And one of the ideas I have for that, Blake, is pretty simple, right? You choose an amount that you can pay on a monthly basis to the Camden County Republican Organization. Okay. I like the number 8333, $83.33 a month times 12 is $1,000. Okay. So I think we have about 160 members, maybe more right now.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine us having $160,000 a year to work with, right? In a budget. Because what can you do with the budget? Build it when you come. Let's get the money in. Let's show people what we want to accomplish with the money. But here was my thoughts with that. So how the political landscape works locally and county wise is you have a county committee that's basically made up of the people in the municipalities within that county.
Correct.
So we have, I think, 34 or 36 municipalities, something like that in Camden County. Okay.
I believe it's 35.
Okay. 35. It's between 34 and 36. So 35 is right there. Those members, they go on a ballot every other year, and you have to get 50 people to sign a petition to be on the ballot. and you run to become a committee member for your municipality. And when you're a municipal member, you automatically become a member of the county committee. So we have our 160 some people throughout the 35 municipalities in the county. I mean, imagine if all those people really became active and really started donating. So what I'm thinking is you got the municipal and you got the county. If we're making an $83.33 municipal county donation, and people like to go to fundraisers, all right? You just had a fundraiser, it went really well, right?
It was very successful fundraiser. Our first ever Belmar Republican Club fundraiser. We haven't had a Republican Party in Belmar in God knows how long, and we had our first fundraiser. It was huge. It was very
How much was a
successful.
ticket to go to the fundraiser?
It was $55.
55, not bad. So imagine this. So out of your 83.33, let's just say we come up with a number where you'll get 5 municipal events per year
Correct.
included in your, let's call it a membership, 83.33.
Yeah.
And you go 5 times 55 is what, 270 bucks.
Yeah.
So out of that money, basically the municipalities can compete with the county members to get county members that want to come to their events in their municipality. It'll create, a desire to have good events,
Of
right?
course.
And the better the events, the more participation is my concept. So then what the county does is they distributes that $55 for everybody that wants to go to the Belmar one, and everyone wants to go to the Cherry Hill event, and everyone wants to go to the Voorhees event. The better the event, more people go. There's competition, free enterprise, capitalism. Sound familiar? And then the county's got the money all year to promote itself and the municipalities within it, and then we can start becoming more relevant.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that just happened to me recently. So, because the other thing too that I think you missed out on, and I think is really important, is when you bring these people to these events, right? So the hardest part when you're starting a new organization, you're starting some sort of club or party, is trying to get these people to actually come out, like your voter base in your municipality, out to come to these meetings, out to join the club and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But when you do these fundraisers and you have these events and they see that there's people here, they want to join the crowd. They want to be a part of it. Like, yeah, we want to be a part of this. And believe it or not, that fundraiser did exactly what I wanted it to do, which was not just raise money, but also entice more people to come out and stuff like that. We're
Absolutely.
actually having our first ever Belmar Republican meeting next Tuesday. It is a private meeting. The next meeting in September we're going to open it up to the public. But I mean, I have most of my poll workers who I've been trying to get in contact for like the last 3 months finally got in contact with them yesterday, and now they're going to be coming out to this meeting. We have 2 new poll workers that we signed up. And yeah, we just got we got over like 10, 15 new people coming from the
New blood.
Yeah, just from Belmar alone. On top of that too, they even told me like, hey, we'll bring our kids too. So now you have the younger generation coming in that want to get involved as well, which is another priority of mine. But yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a minute,
Yeah.
actually. So what's great about that is new blood coming in and spreading the word. And then the other way that municipalities can work within the county together is, you got a town, with very, what I would call low hanging fruit, a town that we could flip to red real
Yes.
easily. There's many of them. Winslow's got a big opportunity, right? Your town's got an opportunity because if we are looking at low hanging fruit, the lower voter turnout for Democrat sides are low hanging fruit to me. And if we all concentrate our efforts, whether we live in the town or not, but if we're members of the county, we should be caring, because the more municipal towns that we get red, the more likely that we're going to turn the county red and then the state red, right? This is how it works. This is like the bottom down presidential election down ticket, and then we're working our way up from the bottom. School boards, fire commissioners, county commissioners, county clerks, all those things. The more that those seats are filled with red, the redder we become. I mean, it's common sense, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with common sense. So what we do is we get these 160 some members and we build up the organization maybe to 200. I think there's like up to 300 seats, I think, to fully fill every seat. And we fill every seat, and we get, if you get 50% participation rate, you got 150 people to go walk a town on a Saturday. You can knock out the whole town and win an election in a weekend. That's what's possible.
We just did that in Winslow, actually.
You did. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I just went walking yesterday, by the way, in Voorhees with all the literature. We probably hit about 150 houses yesterday on a Saturday.
Should have let me know. I would have been down there.
Yeah, well, we just roll with it when we can.
But,
you got to get it in when you can. It's like going to the gym. I mean, when it comes to the gym, you know what I say? If I'm not there, start without me. Okay, that's what I say about the gym. But when it comes to politics, I'm saying let's go.
But our vice chair, Brandy Galikas, was running for re-election because he's a councilman over in Winslow Township, and he's got a lot of people down in that organization, over like 30, 40, 50 people that he's in contact with that come to his monthly meetings and stuff. So he sent out basically a thing like, "Hey guys, this Saturday," and it was kind of on short notice, to be honest with you. We're going to come out, we're going to start door knocking, hitting all the areas in like Winslow Township, mainly Ward 1, because it's got a ward system. So
Yeah.
we were going to hit Ward 1, but Ward 1 is half the size of Winslow Township. And if you look at a map at Winslow Township, it's gigantic compared to all the other
A
municipalities.
lot of land.
A lot of land. So you know, he had some of his Winslow guys come out, and he said to me, he's like, "Listen, Blake, can you help me get more people out here?" And I'm like, "Sure." So, and we'll talk about this later, but besides running the Belmar Republican Club, I also run the Camden County Young Republicans. So I've been telling people the way that I want to operate the Young Republicans is kind of like the Navy SEALs, right? Where we go in and we help certain races or whatever the case
Love
may
it.
be, to give them the support that they need. So I called up a couple of the Young Republicans from around the county, and I got like 5 of them or something like that, and we all went down to Winslow. We had like 15, 20 people going
That's
around
huge.
dropping
That's what I'm
literature.
talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, because it matters.
Yeah,
You know, it doesn't
absolutely.
just matter in your town. You're red pilling people.
Yes.
Is what you're doing. That was the point of this conversation, is what can you do to red pill somebody? I mean, does it have to be like the Matrix? I mean, I do think we're living in the Matrix. I mean, I just can't get over the stuff I see every day. I mean, we just had a debate, this week with Trump and Harris, and truthfully, I was shocked and surprised at Harris's ability to train and become prepared, which is a compliment to her. A lot of people were complaining that Trump didn't do as great as he did against Biden. I mean, Biden's just, he's dead already. He just doesn't know it. So it was a little bit different of a situation. But we had that happen. I mean, the things that they fact checked on, it's like you're living in the Matrix. I mean, they're saying these things aren't happening. They are. Abortion, late term, 9th month after the birth. That's what the radical Democrats want. When they talk about healthcare and a woman's choice to choose, they want to choose, life, which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we're all granted by God. Okay, let's not forget about life. And when you hear people argue on abortion, they say, well, it's the woman's right to choose. It's all about the woman, the woman, the woman. It's really because they don't want the guy, the sperm donor, making these decisions for the woman, right? But at the end of the day, there's 2 patients in every abortion. There's the mother and there's the baby. And who's speaking out for the baby? And that's why we're saying, like, there's got to be some limitations, but it's not a federal issue anyway. It's left to the states. That's how it works. Anything that wasn't in the Constitution is left to the states. That's why you can go and elect your local leaders in the state that you live. And if you want to live in a radical place where they'll take your baby and they'll decide what they're going to do with it after it's born, that's where you can live. Try California. They're real close to doing that right now. These are the things that when I say you're living in the Matrix, we need to get out of. You need to get the word out. You need to get active in your community. It's really simple. If you don't know where to go, Google, the county Republican committee. Find the contact information in every single town across America. I'm assuming on Facebook, you can Google, whatever town you're in, Republican Club. Find it. Find the Blakes. Find the Eric Simpkins. Find the Brandon Galikas. Find us, and we will lead you to the places where you need to be to take an active role in saving our country. It's that simple. Go ahead, Blake.
I was gonna say there's a lot to do as well. Like, we talk about the different counties around here, and I was looking at some of the counties and stuff like that, and there's a lot of things that they need help with. Just looking at their website alone, like, some of these places don't have contact information. Some of these places you kind of have to jump through hoops to find these people to be able to talk to, and that's something that really, Republicans they're older demographic. You really don't have a lot of younger people, which is why it's very important for me to try to bring these people on, because people say it's a dying breed, which I think is harsh, but I mean, there is some truth to that. So we need more people that are more like technologically proficient, that know how these things work. That way we can get that information out there to the right people so that they can join these organizations.
All right. So that is the action item right there, Blake. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Key points. Okay. Here's the takeaway. Okay. Find out where Republicans are meeting. Okay. If you can't find out, you can go to my website. Why did I build my website? Because there wasn't one at the time in the county. EricSimkin.com, EricSimkin.com. Send me a message. If you're from outside Camden County, I will help you find the right people. I don't care where you are. I will help you find and connect with the people. You can follow some great news sources there. It's not about self-promotion. Blake, as you know, I could care less about money when it comes to politics. I'm not looking to become an influencer. I'm not looking to monetize this whatsoever. I'm looking to get the word out. I'm looking at my children every day and saying, one day I'm going to be a grandfather. I can't wait. And I want my grandchildren I don't have yet to grow up in a free country just like I did and have every opportunity to win. And speaking of which, that's one of the problems I have. And that is that in an oppressor versus oppressed environment that we're living in, and that's what we live in, oppressed versus oppressor, it's really good versus weak. It's that, being weak is good and being strong is bad. That's what oppressor versus oppressed. That's why they're coming to Trump so hard. Why are they coming after Trump so hard? It's the very same reason why he needs to be elected, is the same reasons why they don't, because he goes against the grain. There's what's called the world order, the order of things. And at the end of the day, all of us that we're sitting here talking about, these people who want to get involved, we're the serfs, we're the slaves, we're the debt slaves. That's how it works. And you got your government and religion on top of that to try and control the people, right? And then on top of that, actually right now, you've got corporations and social media and technology. Okay, on top of that, you got global banks, and on top of that, really at the top, you have your Illuminati and the 13 families that really run things, the Bilderbergs, the globalists, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, UNESCO, UNRWA. Do I need to keep going? What's going on with CERN and the Hadron Collider and trying to find cold fusion so they can run all of the energy on us, so that at the end of the day, us serfs and slaves and debt slaves, they'll send us 2 packages. One will be a bunch of soybean products to eat, and the other will be a bunch of vaccines to inject ourselves with. And if you don't take either one of them, you're dead. That's what's coming for us if we don't stop it now. You have to understand that they want Trump out. They tried to assassinate him. That was not just a single operator. We know it. Okay. If you look at it, what's coming out now, they let that happen. Okay. They weren't even watching that building, and it's on purpose. The Secret Service is a joke. The Department of Homeland Services, DHS. I mean, that Mayorkas, he shouldn't just be fired. He should be in prison for treason. He's opened up our border to him. He's doing a great job. It's insane. And economically, we're getting crushed. You know how much it costs to take care of an illegal immigrant once they get here? It's like $1 million just to get them resettled here. And it's coming from you and me and from hardworking Americans. So here's what I'm saying, okay, is that we have to get back to strength, peace through strength, okay? We're facing World War II on multiple fronts, whether it's China going into Taiwan because of the chips for AI. P.S., speaking of AI, artificial intelligence, I always say artificial intelligence, and I talk about Kamala Harris. I mean, I think that's an insult to intelligence to use those words together in the same sentence. But she's also the AI czar. AI is going to be the biggest drain of power in this planet. And that's why they want us using less energy and using wind and solar, because they need that energy for this Hadron Collider and fourth dimension type of things like quantum computing, quantum mechanics, quantum physics. It's all related. We need strong people. And it brings me back to a movie clip that I want to play right now. And it's This is Sparta. And it's from a movie called The 300. Take a look. This is why we need strong leaders.
No, that's a bit of a problem. See, rumor has it, the Athenians have already turned you down. And if those philosophers and boy lovers have found that kind of nerve, then...
We must be diplomatic.
And of course, Spartans have their reputation to consider.
Choose your next words carefully, Leonidas. They may be your last as king.
Madman. For a madman.
Earth and water. But you'll find plenty of both down there.
No man, Persian or Greek, no man threatens a messenger.
You bring the crowns and heads of conquered kings to my city steps. You insult my queen. You threaten my people with slavery and death. Oh, I've chosen my words carefully, Persian. Perhaps you should have done the same.
This is blasphemy. This is madness.
Madness. This is Sparta!
And this is America. Do not let somebody take something from you. You have to fight. Just like Donald Trump when he stood up after he was attempted assassination against him. He gets shot in the head and he stood up, and what did he say? He said, fight, 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 right?
Absolutely.
Listen, before we wrap things up, Blake, I got to give an update here on this. Okay. All right. So everyone says to me, Eric, you need to come up for air once in a while. All you talk about and live is politics, right? It's not all I live. I live my family. Okay. That's number one. Politics. I'm in politics because I care about my family and yours, Blake. I mean, that's the truth.
So do I.
That. And the other thing I care about is guitars, you know, right? When they locked us down here in New Jersey with the draconian, crazy mandates and lockdowns, I said, I'm finding something to do that I don't have to change a thing of how I live. So what did I start doing? I started buying and selling guitar gear. I've been playing guitar since I'm 12. I'm 52. And I had built up a massive collection, man. I sold, I don't know, close to 1,000 guitars and probably 700, 800 amplifiers. I was going around buying them from all these poor people that couldn't play in gigs anymore because we were locked down, couldn't go to a club.
That's
okay. You could go to a weed dispensary and get liquor, though, at a liquor store. Couldn't go to a church, synagogue, though, or school. Go figure. Anyway, this guitar 1 week ago was a 1985 Kramer Focus 3000. It's the same model guitar that Eddie Van Halen was playing back in the 80s. And P.S. my friends used to call me 80s Eric, and I used to be in a hair band, if you can imagine. Obviously, that's a long time ago, Blake. But he had this guitar called a Frankenstrat, and it's the best sounding guitar that everyone's ever heard. It's Eddie Van Halen. He's the best. And so it's got this crazy stripes and stuff on there, wear marks and stuff. So I took it from basically a Case Queen guitar, took all the electronics out, the Floyd Rose tremolo, which is original to the guitar. I got a new neck coming. It's custom. This is just the mock-up so I could see how it's coming out. But it looks pretty badass, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So you don't just have to be a political badass. You just got to be badass at everything you do. You have to excel at things. It's okay to be good at something. You know, it's nothing to be ashamed at. I'm good at making badass guitars. So this is going to be the first of many. If you want to buy one, by the way, you can reach out to me. Probably about $3,500 for this model. But that's not what I'm here for, man. It's just wanted to show you the update. So it's not just about being a political badass. Like I said, you gotta be a badass at life. You got to take care of your family. Blake, it's one of the most impressive things I've heard is how you've taken care of your family. And I aim to do the same thing. And I hope that everyone out here is able to have a competent way to protect your family if things go south from here. And that is, you got to be prepared for the worst. So my grandfather always used to say, you know, he used to say a lot of things, actually. He had more degrees than a thermometer. You know, he graduated law school when he's 19 years old.
Holy.
And then he became a rabbi, believe it or not, and led a community in Patterson, New Jersey, up until his death. And, you know, he used to say a couple things. One thing that comes to mind when my dad was thinking about moving down to South Jersey from Patterson, and he says, and my dad's like, well, I'm not sure if it's really a good time. And Harry blew a big smoke ring through a big Cuban cigar and blows it in his face. And he says, Len, there's never a good time. So remember, there's never a good time for big decisions and change. You just got to make them. You got to do it. Wake up tomorrow and see how many people you're going to get out to come out and vote. And that's what this is all about, is winning this election, because losing is 100% not an option. Donald J. Trump must be inaugurated and sworn in on January 20th so we can turn this freight train around. And it's going to take some time. It's not just going to happen overnight. Have patience, have diligence, and have persistence. That's my advice to everybody. And any final words on this podcast? Go ahead, Blake.
If there's one thing I can tell each and every one of you right now, whether it be to the American people, to the people of New Jersey, or the people of Camden County, like Eric said earlier, this is probably the most important election that we are currently facing in American history as of now. And what I want to tell you all is I want to be realistic with you. And I want to tell you something that a good friend of mine he's always preached and he's always said, which is the fact that nobody's coming to save you. And that's not meant to be a negative quote. It's meant to more be a positive quote. What I mean by that is this. Look, I want Trump to win this election. I feel like he is the candidate that we need to win this election and to restore some sort of balance into this country, whatever the case may be. However, there is always the chance that he may lose. But what I'm telling you is not all hope is lost. We were talking about local elections earlier, running in your town, running in your county, running in your state, whatever the case may be. The way that this country was built up, the way that our founding fathers had imagined it, is that the common person at the lowest of lowest levels can run for council, municipal race, whatever the case may be, and make some sort of change in their community that is going to impact them. So even if, for whatever reason, the president that you and I want is not elected on November 5th of 2024, just remember that not all hope is lost. You still can make a change. You still can protect your community. You still can protect your kids. Don't give up. If our founding fathers gave up every time they went into a battle and they lost a battle, and look, if you look back at history, they lost many battles before they finally won the war, then we wouldn't have a country right now. You have to remember that. We may lose multiple battles. We may win multiple battles, but just remember that the war is not over, and it's up to you to win that war.
Well, I'm going to leave it like this, Blake. I don't disagree with much of what you said. If we don't win this election, though, in 2024, and Donald Trump does not take that oath on January 20th of 2025, I will tell you this. I think everyone should contact a realtor and start looking at other countries to live, because it's going to get bad really fast. Argentina is not looking too good. Neither is El Salvador. And a lot of these other countries that have sent all their criminals to us. I'm really just kidding, to be honest with you. I'm going to fight this to the end, okay, till my last breath leaves my lungs. I will fight to protect and save the future for my family and for yours. And with that, I would like to leave it with words from Stephen K. Bannon, who is still sitting in jail right now. Stephen Bannon is a political advisor to Donald J. Trump. He was in the White House, and he is in prison because he would not comply with the January 6th sham committee subpoena. Neither did Dr. Peter K. Navarro, and he served 4 months too. So these scumbag losers are locking up their political opponents so that they can't have a voice. Do not let your voice be silenced. That's my advice to you. Raise your voice, learn how to use it, follow our lead or follow another lead. And with that, I'm going to leave you with the words of the great Stephen K. Bannon.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
That's right. This country will be saved. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless your families, and God bless America.
Take care, everyone.